Ask yourself a basic question, one that needs to be studied right now in the time that we're really in, one that needs to be observed by everyone in the world. Ask yourself, who taught these people to master their mind the way they can? I want you to listen carefully. Don't get sidetracked. Think outside the mind. Think outside the box. Think right outside the box. Think outside the mind. Follow your natural organic molecules. Follow your instincts. Listen carefully. Bruce Lee could move 7 times faster than any person could think by the time he's 24. With a short blow, he could levitate a person double his body weight, 9 to 12 feet into midair into a swimming pool. He could fight 7 people with black belt karate while he's blindfolded, and he could feel and block every blow. He could play in one of the top world championships on table tennis and beat him with a pair of nunchucks. Do you actually understand the precision involved in this? And how much it takes to master your mind like this? Who was his teacher? His teacher was a greater mastermind that knew every single mistake that he made and brought his pupil up to be perfect, far more advanced than what he was himself. Plato is described as the greatest philosopher of all time by every scholar in the world. Plato. Who was his teacher? His father. His father was the greatest mastermind and every philosopher of the greatest philosophers in the world. He taught his own son how to be better than him with the tools that he designed him with. You can go into every person in the world, every top mastermind in this world, every top executive in the world. Listen to me carefully. I'm talking about the number 1 leading, most elect people on the planet. The biggest masterminds in the world. There's an RSVP list on the RSPC list by NASA and CIA. The biggest mastermind recorded on their documents in the world. They've got a list of every one of these people that can master their mind the most with different tools than everyone else uses. The biggest think tank and the quantum mechanic, the quantum computer for NASA and NSA and CIA is in the Pine Gap Air Force One, Australia, the biggest think tank in the world. The biggest think tank in the world recorded me as the biggest mastermind they ever come across. But you don't believe in it. They suppress it from you for a reason, so that you don't believe in it, and it works. It works in every human being on earth. No one believes in me. They believe in the system constructed with reverse psychology that they come to their own conclusion with, and they're completely stripping their moral values and all their instincts to think instinctively with their natural organic molecules, so they have no faith in nothing I say. That goes for 99.9% of all the Western civilization has no faith because they're stripped from it. They're stripped from their biological genes to use their natural organic molecules. They only have faith in their psychological behavior and the voice inside their mind that controls them all the time. It's a fact, recorded on documents all over the world. Everyone's in a mind trap, trapped in their mind with a high IQ that only makes them good at what they do with a personality. But stripped from their moral instincts and their natural organic molecules to think outside the mind. The light bulb idea. The light bulb. The vision tells you 1,000 words that we respond to 7 times faster. And everyone who's an absolute mastermind is recorded on documents to have these abilities. That's 7 times more powerful. With a placebo effect that's 10 times more powerful than the reality you live in. We don't live in that reality that you live in. We live in a different reality that has a placebo effect to 10 times more powerful. According to the documents, according to Dr. Bruce Lipton's cellular study research, according to Jeremy McGivers, the top biologist in the whole world, explaining this biologically. So when you understand all these empires put together, they come up with the same conclusion. Because Plato couldn't work out how to use these tools. And that's what we've been studying for 2,350 years, our natural organic molecules. And the human condition we suffer from, that blocks us in the mindset trapped in our mind not to have these abilities. Only a mastermind knows him the best, that knows the tools correct. But you see, there's something extraordinary about this. Ask yourself a very important question in this world that you need to ask yourself right now. Take any sophisticated mastermind in our human history, any one of them that you want. Pick anyone in the world. And let's have a look at who has the greatest human abilities to heal people, to come back to life after death, to bring someone else back to life. Let's see who's got their natural organic mode skills to use these skills the best in the world, with the biggest miracles recorded in hospital that they cannot explain. No one can, because they're trapped in their mind. But let's take a look at the adverse effects from hospitals and records by the top biologists and the top research done in the world. The biggest miracles and the people that has the best DNA to do these things, they can do extraordinary things beyond the mindset we live in. Well, I've been declared dead 3 times. I brought my wife back to life 3 times. I recorded the DNA that's changed the structure so much in my DNA evidence. In cellular study research, I brought the cure of the human condition to humanity for the first time in 2,350 years. I am the one and only, the witness, that brings the cure of the human condition to humanity in 2008 with Jeremy Grissom, the top bowlers in the whole world transformation movement. And no one believes in it. Ask yourself a very important question. In Australia, we have the highest death toll, heroin, cocaine, gang killing, violence, murder rates, domestic violence, children going into homes, taking off their parents, going through a strategy where they end up in prison, where in the Royal Commission in Australia, 80% of people in prison were paid out for being raped and bashed through these home centres, through domestic violence on the home front. And prostitutes getting paid at the same time more than 90% for the same reason in the Royal Commission. So it proves that it sets up a marketing strategy with a charge of taxpayers' money 4 times more than what it costs to keep these people. In a marketing strategy, they need the system to work. So when a person comes along and changes the statistic with the top 7 most powerful networks and makes them work together in such a way that every single one of these things goes from the highest level in 1996 to the lowest level by 2000, 4 years later, the lowest it was in 30 years on every account. And the work's plummeting at the police station. Right? The murder rates is plummeting. The violence is plummeting. The marketing strategy is plummeting. The domestic violence in the street is plummeting. Children taking off their parents and going into the homes to get raped and bashed into a marketing strategy and ends up in jail is plummeting to the lowest in 30 years. When you see one man do this, that can take over the system and reverse their plans and every structure they're doing, and also unravel the situation with the tools, the correct tools to be righteous and to save the sinners and those suffering, to save the sinners and those suffering and put them back on their feet to cope in life and get off drugs and get out of criminal activity, because we changed those rates to get them up on their 2 feet to cope in life by thinking outside the mind, not with the devil in the mind and the demons in the mind that gave them all the habits. All their habits and all their addictions on a marketing strategy designed specifically for chaos, creating the law and order documents 300 years ago by the Rockefellers and Bilderbergs that stripped you from your 6th sense in 1921 and educated you on reverse psychology to think too much with a high IQ that only makes you good at what you do, to feed into the system on reverse psychology engineering. And then you use those tools and you think that the voice in the mind, that old scientific extinct that controls you all the time, declared in documents. So, you've got to see things for how they are. How come everyone thinks I'm a liar and can't handle the truth from me? How come no one can handle me? How come everyone rattles so bad when they talk to me? How come everyone's so shit scared of me when I do things like this? And no one believes in it. You've got to ask yourself a question right now. Who brought me into the world? Huh? If I can change the circumstance that much and I'm recorded by the biggest think tank in the world as the biggest mastermind they've ever dealt with, that changed the circumstance this much, then ask yourself, who do you think my teacher was? That's a question no one in the world can answer. Not one human being on earth. And that's why you should have faith in me, and that's why you should pay attention to me more than anyone else in the world and watch every one of my 10-minute videos today and listen to what I'm saying to you. Practice what I preach and learn things about yourself and discover who you are, why you're here, and what the meaning of life is. Because that's what you need to know in the time that you're in right now.